We are live. We'll start in prayer. In the name of Allah, the entirely beneficent, the entirely merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you, Allah, whom we serve, and it is you, Allah, whom we ask for help. Guide us, Allah, to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favour, not of those who have evoked your anger, nor those who are astray. Okay, I want to thank the entire nation of Islam for being, as it is, our teaching source during such a dark hour, and I would like to thank my mother who raised me and made sacrifices that I am learning of. Pardon me, learning of, and sorry, I've just eaten, so yeah. She made sacrifices that I am learning of and never will comprehend the depth of. I should have got some water before this. I usually drink some water as I'm doing it, but I know we've got a big episode to go through today because yesterday you didn't get one from me. I was busy raising the dead to life. And so we're gonna do like an extra long episode today. God knows what's gonna come through. But we're just gonna see what happens anyway. So this is if you're not aware, I would really advise you like do it step by step. Do it in episodes like you're watching a series. I'm sure you don't need any guidance on how to do that. We all watch series, um, or we've all watched series before, and we know what the deal is. You don't watch the end at the beginning. You start from the beginning. So I would appreciate it if you do watch these series of broadcasts in order, because I go back referencing to other episodes. So in later episodes, so it kind of just flows nicely, and I guess you can just see me growing, hopefully, growing into it, getting more comfortable, and yeah. So I'll be sharing to the best of my ability what I've been learning, writing down, making a note of, scribing, for the purpose of quickening us to life, and also to help us grow into the spiritual mind of Almighty God, who came in the person of Master W.D Fard Muhammad, the Great Mehdi. So, yes, the Universal is a series of broadcasts that are mainly focused on the spiritual element of the teachings of the Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad. I personally think we're lacking a lot in this area, which we shouldn't be at this point because we've had a lot of time to study, we've had a lot of time to get it together, and the minister has given us a lot of material to study through, and we've got really no excuse to not engage with that which would give us a better spiritual vision and sight. And so I'm doing this broadcast so that we can sort of get that on lock, as they say, get it lock off, as they say. Just means get it boxed off, which is a really beautiful saying actually. Now I've just thought of it, because if you box something off, that's four corners, 490 degrees angles, 360 degrees of knowledge, all brilliant stuff, which is what we've got in the Nation of Islam. In fact, I was actually talking to some brother then. I was in Foots Highland just having a look around, and it's dead funny. There was a brother that was working there, and he was turning the other way. He was doing something, and it said on his back of his shirt, it said, "I'm here to help." So I said, brother, do you work here? He was a bit stunned. He said, yes, I do, yeah. I said, well, I saw the back of your t-shirt and it said, I'm here to help, but I just want to let you know I'm here to help. He was looking at me so confused. And then by the end of it, he was kind of like, you know what? Yeah, I think I might have a look at Elijah Muhammad after what he just said. Yeah, I just broke down that basically, you're a very old being on the planet. I didn't say it like this. Sometimes you can't really remember when spirit's speaking. It's in its own lane. But what I said to him in a nutshell, I said also to get onto the point of the box off thing, is that the Nation of Islam, has been given a higher knowledge than all these Freemasonry lodges combined. We represent the full scope of the 360 degrees of knowledge, which is freedom, justice, and equality. But it's much deeper in terms of like knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, as well. So it almost looks like a 3-dimensional shape, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, whatever you want to dimension you want to call it. That's what we have as a paradigm of knowledge, as an object of knowledge. We have the wheel. We have the wheel of knowledge. We have the sphere of knowledge. We have a sphere. So which is really good news. So I was telling brother that anyway. So hopefully I did help him. But we have a long episode to get through today. I'm gonna try and get through like maybe 3 of these documents. So buckle up. I'm gonna give it my all, as I always try and do. Some of these are from quite a while ago. So for instance, this one is from 2020, the 7th of July. But bearing in mind that was when I printed it, and usually I was holding on to a couple of these for years. So some of these are going to be a little bit old, and maybe the language might be a little bit rough, or maybe a little bit, what's the word? Immature, should we say? Maybe some of it might not be, but I'm going to try and get through it. And I ask Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to guide me as I go through these writings. That hopefully, I'll be able to explain what I've wrote, and also explain what we as a nation, represent and stand for, during such a dark hour. And you know what? I'm going to get my Quran, because it is such a dark hour. I will recite to us the 113th and the 114th chapter of the Quran, just as a little prayer to stay protected from anything, and just from really ourselves. We are our greatest enemy, but we are also our greatest friend besides God himself, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. So let's get this prayer in. I seek refuge in the Lord of the Dawn, from the evil of that which he has created, and from the evil of intense darkness when it comes, and from the evil of those who cast evil suggestions in firm resolutions, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I seek refuge in the Lord of men, the King of men, the God of men, from the evil of the whisperings of the slinking devil, who whispers into the hearts of men, from among the jinn and from among the men. I'm going to recite the first one again because I actually missed the first part. Pardon me. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I seek refuge in the Lord of the Dawn, from the evil of that which he has created, and from the evil of intense darkness when it comes, and from the evil of those who cast evil suggestions in firm resolutions, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. Okay, do you think it's really, really key that we stay protected today? We follow our intuition, we follow our inner voice, because sometimes that really is God guiding. But lean not on thine understanding, so don't get it twisted. Know when you're just, call on the God much. Okay, and we're going to start this off. So this one's called, I've labelled this one, or titled it, should I say. It says, Let Go and Let God. Essentially, that is really beautiful as a title, because, that is what we aim to do here. It's really, we can't be imitating somebody else's word for word things. We should be able to, do that ourselves after a certain point, because we'll have taken ourselves into the very mind in which he has taken himself into. Of course, no student is greater than his master, so there is a humbling element, should always be a humbling element, and there will always be a humbling element to this and to that element right there. So let go and let God, but be as best of a servant as you can be. And I'm sure if that's your intention, God will completely give you, as they say on the road, right of way. So let's go straight in. It says, so the first one that it says, you don't deserve to live on God's earth if. Sorry, this is not a good start, is it? You don't. Sorry, I'm also. This is another thing as well. I don't mean to ramble on, but I think I'm getting better at reading. I do think I'm getting better at reading out loud, and yeah, I'm not. I don't feel as nervous as I used to be. So, which is good, because that really did bother me in the past, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. So I thank you for your patience if I've not always been as clear, but I think, like they say, practice makes permanent, and if I just keep practicing, then I'll permanently be a better reader. You know, for us. And another thing, sorry, just something just came. There was a brother that we all should really follow that I really would love to highlight in this broadcast today. He's on Instagram, and his name is Sean Breed. I want us to all follow him. I'm going to spell his name out for you. Pretty sure it's SEAN space BREED. Let me double check that quick because I love him, because he's got so many spiritual message. I told you it's called the universal because we're focusing on that spiritual element. Sean Breed, brilliant brother. He's unbelievably powerful in the realm of the spiritual. I believe he used to be a Jehovah's Witness, so you know he's got a very great background in terms of teaching the word and getting into the spiritual element of things and saying, what are we doing, and or and speaking on like what we're doing that's great as well. And he's just really beautiful. So I really advise you go and follow that brother on Instagram. He's amazing. You will know what I mean. Just keep. I see that there's a couple of brothers here that I'm following that follow him. So for instance, I see Golden Child following him. I see Brother Ben X following him. I see um, Brother Marcus Thomas following him. Latasha Muhammad. I see Sister Latasha on to him. But he's a great brother, and I really do recommend you go and follow him. I forgot what I was going to quote from him now. Oh yes, I was going to say this. This is what I was going to. Thank you, Allah, for getting me to remember that. He said we need to stop doing podcasts. He said we need to stop doing podcasts because, and you might see the video yourself, but he said we need to stop doing podcasts because it's almost like we are being put in a situation, in a predicament where it's like we're regurgitating information, and we're not really sorry, we're not really doing the right thing on a lot of these podcasts. They're being kind of used against us in a way. Maybe it's not the right time to mention that, but this is why I prefer to. I put as a comment, I actually commented. I said maybe if maybe if we do broadcasts instead of podcasts. I said it might help to take the vanity out. It might help to take the focus and the attention off of us as individuals and focus more on the spiritual message, which I really related to, because I do feel like sometimes just being in the view of the people, it can throw people off. It can throw me off, and I'm the one on camera sometimes. My mother says something really powerful. She says sometimes I like being on the phone with people because I get to tune in then. Because if I can't see the person I'm speaking to, I get to tune into the person that I'm listening to. And I found that really, really powerful. I find that really important to mention. So, and it kind of, sometimes I go with my heart, right? And I don't know why that my heart is just talking to me and saying, or sort of calling me to do something, or calling me to a certain thing. I think with my heart, not my head. And I've always sort of thought like it's a very, very superficial world and material world, and I like to keep, as you well know, as you've heard in other episodes, I like to keep myself just out the way. And I think it really will benefit this, these series of broadcasts, because you get to really just sit there and listen. But it's also, I hope this is what also, I hope the vibe here is also that you can just stick your headphones in, and just listen as you do your daily activities and you do your daily stuff. Whether it's cleaning, whether it's making yourself some nice food, whether it's going visiting someone, or whether it's, whether you're working and maybe you might be allowed your earphones in or whatnot, or whatever it is. Maybe you walk into the shopping centre, or you're on your bike, or you're in the gym, or whatever you're doing. I kind of want it to be that kind of vibe where there's not necessarily something to look at, but there is definitely something to listen to, and that will be. I'll try and make it as beneficial as you can. So, God, I rambled on then, didn't I? I didn't even get past this first thing. But praise be to Allah for inspiring me to say the things that I say. I do hope it helps. So we'll crack on anyway. It says, you don't deserve to live on God's earth in His universe if you don't want to respect the architect of your very life. Something just came, and it's that God is numbered our very the length of our very bones and our very veins. It's all measured. It's all numbered. Everything is in a clear register, and I think that's why I think I've called Allah here the architect of your very life. He's the designer. One of his names in the 99 names is he is the designer, the fashioner of forms as well. He is the he's the bestower of favour as well, not just game as well. He's the bestower of favour. But he's the creator. He's trying to think of things that relate to how he has measured us, and I think an architect is something that's such a beautiful name to give Allah, because he is just the grand. That's another one of his names as well. The grand architect. He's like the grand architect of all of what you see, and it's why we're still learning from some things in creation, even still to this day. To this day, like Deontay. So we'll continue to move on. The word of truth is like the fire of the sun. When it strikes, it starts burning. So really, the truth itself is burning up the institutions, the lies, and the world. Truth, it started a fire in you. You may not want to act right, but still, the fire is burning. You can't play good and say you didn't hear, for the fire is burning inside of you. So I can tell I'm in a. By the way, I can tell this one's going to be a little bit different to the others, in that the others were printed off quite well, a lot more recently than this one was. So you may see that maybe even the wording is a little bit not as flowy, but maybe it does have the same kind of like intensity and meaning as it usually does. But there's a fire burning inside of us all, and that is the pressure that's pushing out, that's defeating the force of the pressure on the outside crushing us, and that is the weight of the universe all around us. You have God on the inside pushing out, but you also have essentially the creation of God on the outside pushing upon us and pushing in us. That's why as we grow, things begin to sag. um, you know, praise be to Allah for the understanding. um, we'll move on. Okay, this book, Quran, and this book, the Bible, says he takes you in the cradle, or he lets you reach old age. This is one law for all, and either you're going to live by it or you're going to die by it. But that's your decision. So, being here is very much a blessing. And whether Allah lets you get to old age or whether He causes you to die, whether in the cradle or, maybe as a young person, it's this gift of life is very, very beautiful, even if you was only here for a moment. And Brother Jeffrey said something very beautiful last Sunday that I didn't really, well, I guess I've thought on the wave before, but just the way he worded it was really beautiful. He said that if you were a father and you lost, a son, we would, you know, we would grab the flowers and we would mourn the loss before we thank the God for giving me my son for as long as you gave him to me. So, you know, what a mature thought and what a mature way that we don't always see straight away. We see what we've lost more than what that person, taught us, more than what that person allowed us to see within ourselves. And I've just found that a really beautiful, and it really hit me personally. And I just was really grateful for that lesson, because it's like sometimes Allah does set things up where, what you've lost is actually a more healthier gain for you in the long run, because He allows you to learn the lessons that you needed to learn so that you can be better in the future, and so forth. Okay. God sometimes uses the good to show the wicked that if He'll take the good, then what chance do the wicked, have if they don't change? See what I mean? It's the same principle. Like, we have to learn to accept departures. We have to learn to accept losses. We have to learn to accept difficulty. We have to learn to accept the reality of the darkness. See, we mentioned in the prayer at the very beginning when you know, and from the evil of intense darkness when it comes. Think about that. So it's like it's almost as though intense darkness is inevitable in a way. In whatever way that is. Maybe you lose somebody in terms of like old age. It might be your granddad, or it might be that you lose a limb. It might be, it'd be a dark time if you lose your leg today. But I'm sure there's a way through. There's a way through everything. Gratitude is the attitude that brings altitude. That's a beautiful quote that we hear going around the nation. It's beautiful. I love it. I think Brother Ben said it. Brother Ben X. You should check him out on Instagram. He's a great brother. He's got some great AI content coming at the minute, in loads of different manners, and he's doing really well, and keep supporting him. It's really fueling him in a great way, and I love that. So let's continue to support Brother Ben in as many ways as we can. He's a lot more further ahead in a lot of ways than a lot of us, and if one of us are further along the way than another, then we should support him, and it'd be so beautiful to see his building, the WBO, I believe it's called. I would love to see that prosper and be full of new folks, and it would just be very good if we was to unite around that brother and make the sacrifices, if there are any to be made. Rush to make a sacrifice, when it comes to building and establishing the civilization of our own, stuff of our own. We want our own stuff, and that's great. So let's see where we are. With belief in Allah, It allows man to benefit from the signs of Allah that are scattered throughout the universe, proving the fact that Allah is the true God who deserves to be worshipped. Allah says in the Quran, "Do you not see that Allah has subjected for you what is in the heavens and what is in the earth, and He has bestowed amply upon you His apparent and hidden graces?" Mm. Mm. So some of the graces of Allah are apparent and some of them are hidden. And that's really beautiful to know that. Okay. The white man and the white woman are of a people that naturally feel comfortable in nudity than any other people on our planet. As previously stated, when he was in the caves of Europe, the laws of God became worthless to him, as they already were. He lost everything, including his clothes. So teaches the Honourable Elijah Muhammad. Now, when I was growing up as a young lad in Warrington, this is where I'm from, Warrington, the UK, I would experience strange behaviour with men that were reaching puberty, disgusting behaviour for that matter. They would not feel any sense of shame with their private parts whatsoever, and they would even ask you about your private part as though it's a topic of conversation. I mean, can you get any more savage? We were then and still are vibrationally low people, low down people that have very little knowledge of self. There's a lot of instances in my like younger life that gave me an insight to the fact that there was something wrong with the white man. There is, like, his civilization is a reflection of his nature as well. So, and as you can see, his world is coming down very fast. That's not just because it's corrupted, and not put in a right state. Far from it, but it's also ordained by God. You know, God is also on scene, bringing it down degree by degree, and it's important to know that there's a root of everything. There's a root to everything. And if we learn of the white man's history, we will learn, like I did, a lot of why those behaviours were happening and what that was all about, really. You know, I don't want to get too personal, but I wasn't always comfortable doing with women what my associates, companions back then were doing. And yes, I kind of never felt. Yeah, we'll just say that. We'll just say that. Okay. Her worst was earnest purpose. That's my poetic side coming. I've got a very poetic and creative element to myself, and you might see a lot of that maybe in this kind of stuff. Okay. If you spent vast amount of time down the rabbit hole of darkness, it is a feared thing to delve into the mind of a fanatic of light. If you've spent a vast amount of time down the rabbit hole of darkness, it is a test of strength to delve into the mind of a fanatic of light. I don't like the word fanatic because, but again, this is the immature me trying to get something out, but maybe you might be able to see that through this. I can see what I can see, but maybe you can see it as well. If you spent a vast amount of time down the rabbit hole of darkness, it is a test of strength to delve into the mind of a fanatic of light. Yes, so it's like we all know who I'm referring to there. I'm referring to the minister. The minister is the fanatic of light, but I was the man who was, or I was a man that spent a vast amount of time down the rabbit hole of darkness. I say the rabbit hole for a very important reason because I had to search. You know, I had to search and then find. Search, then find. Knock and it opens. You can't just, it doesn't, I mean, listen, you're very blessed if the door just opens and you didn't even knock. Somebody just waltzes up and gives you a door to walk through. It's a blessing from God, man. But for the most part, we have to seek what we, intend to find. And yeah, though, okay, we're going to move on. Otherwise, it's going to be like last episode. I'm not even going to make it through one of these things. So, okay. There was a soaking wet towel, and I spent 7 years wringing out every last drop. But I was trying to explain 7 years of spiritual experience and growth in an hour, sometimes in a sentence or a conversation. It's impossible. It's confusing when you see another thirsty for change and you offer them a glass of compressed towel water and they pass on it. So it's very interesting the way I explain that. I told you it's my poetic side. It's really my gift of being able to express it, and I love that. I love the way I put that. Praise be to Allah. Because we have to really wring it out, man. We have to wring it out as much as we can and drink it. It kind of doesn't seem very clean, does it? Because a towel is something you use to like... Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully. Okay. Look at the turn of the world. When it sets itself after someone, it inflicts injury and brings harm to him. Wait, look at the turn of the world. When it sees itself after someone, it inflicts injury and brings harm to him. Yeah. It's almost like the world can't fully... Oh, that's powerful, that, what I've said there. A lot going on now. It's almost like what I'm saying is like the world, if the world tries to claim somebody, it hurts the person that they claim because of the world, because of the ways of the world. It's almost like a pair of gloves full of spikes trying to grab you. It may grab you, no doubt, but it's just gonna crush you. It's just gonna stab you in a way. So when it sets itself after someone, it inflicts injury and brings harm to him. So imagine trying to stroke a cat with a glove full of spikes. It's like you just leave the cat alone because you're gonna hurt him just by even trying to tend to him with the spiky glove of the spiky mind that we've got, you know. So, and then just a short one. It says too much noise hurts me. A fun fact: I very sensitive to loud noises. When I was a young, still am, still kind of am this way with loud noises. My ears are so sensitive. Like bonfire night, I used to hate it, and I used to really. Oh, I remember my ears being. Listen, I was actually deaf for a period of time in my life, and I was pretending like I could hear people. Can you imagine that? From I think it was like year 3 in school to like halfway through, leading up to year 5, I couldn't really hear anybody. Like literally, like I could just see, like I could hear. You know, like if you used to put your fingers in your ears now and then speak, you'll be able to just hear like mumbling. Well, that was me from a particular age. I don't know what age you are in year 3, but I remember my teacher in school. She realised how deaf I was. She was the one who caught on first. She caught on one time, and she said, "You're really gonna have to have that checked because you you just blatantly ignoring me." I think I was walking out the classroom. She asked me to get something. I became good at lip reading. I became good at like actually just looking at people and like seeing what they were saying or just like vibing with them to save the day. Oh gosh, I'm gonna be telling some stuff about me that I might just regret or something. But I told you it's very personal. There's a lot of personal stuff. There's a lot of mixture of like, but there's spiritual lessons in it as well. It's probably the reason why like, yeah, like for instance as well, like my ears are so sensitive. Like even to this day, I practically live with tinnitus. I live with a bell in my ear. I live with a constant ring in my ear. It doesn't ever go away. It's my left ear. And fun fact, me and my mother, we share the same ear. Like deaf ear. We always joke to each other like, "What you say?" And she's like, "What did you say?" You know, like just playing around or whatnot. But Yeah, that's so too much noise hurts me. I like to when I do my work, I like to be in quiet environments, and when even now, like I'm in a very if I was to just see, it's very very quiet where I am, and I like to be in zones like that. I really really am sensitive to loud noises. So I am a man of peace and a man with a pure intention to elevate another. No matter my approach with the Spirit of God or not with the Spirit of God, I am out to serve you. So, like, when I say not with the Spirit of God, sometimes it's like when I'm angry or when I'm like frustrated, I'm never, even in my anger and even ever in my frustration, out to like hurt you or anything. Always something I'm trying to do or trying to like. There's always good in it, if that makes sense. I always feel that way anyway. Um, maybe I'm not always like that. Maybe I have my moments, as we all do. But for the most part, family, I'm very slow to anger. And if I am ever angry, or if something has made me angry, there's something that really has bothered me there. But I don't know. Yeah, again, it's very. Maybe I shouldn't go into every single thing and explain it because for the most part, I think I've grown from a lot of it, and maybe I need to learn as well from what I've grown from, retrace my steps, and see what it is that I'm saying to myself as well. Like you're listening to me speak to me, but from the past to the future. I'm like Marty McFly right now. Back to the Future. Um, so I'm also like, but I'm just, I wanted to do this without reading it. This is what I think will make this broadcast so beautiful because it's almost like I'm reading something that I've never read, but with a new mind. So I'll be able to extract things that will that will surely benefit. So let's go. The internal savior, the internal warrior, the internal yeah. Them. So this is like a conversation that I've wrote. Again, I'm in a very poetic stage in my development at this point. I remember sort of vaguely before I was ever writing volumes. Sometimes I was just writing like simple sentences of like poetic language, or like it seemed poetic, but it wasn't poetic. It was really quite deep and spiritual. But it says them, as in what they say, them, you're only writing words. Me, yeah, but wait till you read them. So again, I'm very much I'm confident. I've always been very confident that I can do something. I've always been very like, you know, I'm going to do something for you, and nothing's going to stop me. Um, very driven, very determined. I'm a very determined brother of yours. I'm a very dedicated brother. I'd like to think that about myself. Anyway, and I can prove it. I'm not somebody that says these things that I can't back it up. You know, I am. Yeah, I'm all talk. That's true. I am a lot of that, but I am a lot of work as well. I'm a lot of action, and you may not have seen the works as such, but this is what I'm doing this for. I want you to kind of have a feel for what I've been doing, and hopefully we get more viewers over time. And you can send it to your brothers and sisters. You can say, that brother there, he said a lot of things in that episode, or he's got something that he's on there. He's onto something. He's talking to my spirit there, and maybe you need to listen to this brother. I don't know. You can do that. I hope you do that, but you don't have to. But praise be to Allah. Okay, Quran says, "Did not my reminder come to you?" It said, "Come," meaning somebody was going out of their way to come up to you and remind you of something. It says, "Did you not hear a caller from among you inviting you to the truth?" Did you hear? And if you heard, so I'm saying, did you hear? It said, And if you heard, how did you respond? Did you respond surrendering, or did you react slandering? It's pretty self-explanatory, that. I think we'll move on from that. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, and a haunt for every unclean and detestable animal. This is America I'm referring to, it's in the Bible. This is a scripture. A hole for every foul spirit, a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. An unclean bird is a raven, a vulture, so this, I don't think this part is scripture now that I'm going to carry on with. So an unclean bird is a raven, a vulture, or a buzzard. They live off the decaying flesh of others. This is a metaphor for the condition and the nature of that great city, Babylon the Great. See, Babylon, mystery Babylon. That is in reference to America, as we're taught by the most Honourable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ. Just like humans have the potential to live off another person's atmosphere, so in a world like this one, don't even think about questioning why I'm questioning. Wait, again, there'll be a lot of it that's not fully put in order, but I hope that you can just learn from it. There's gaps, then I don't know if they're even connected. So just please bear with me and just take whatever it is that you can, and take plenty. If you can't, just take what you need. It's in the nature of man to be productive, or to want to be productive. So wherever you find a happy man, you'll find that there is something productive that he is doing. Man loves a test deep down, because he knows deep down that God has equipped him with everything that he could possibly need to overcome tests of the material universe. It's natural for man to think that he is above most things, because in his makeup, being created in God's image, he is above most things. His form is the best form, says Almighty Allah. Okay. A clever thing that the devil does is he uses you or what you love to spur you into a conversation or into foolishness that makes you think is irrelevant to God. But in his intention, his heart is not interested in God or connecting you to the God. What I'm saying here is that he is a swindle, using your inspirations to try and turn you to disbelief, either by action or by mouth or by both. What's more, what's more fulfilling for the devil than obeying and studying God is pulling on your strings of faith and knowledge, looking intently for the weaker window which he can break. He first inspires you, or he plays a note that he knows you like. Then he tries you to get you to sing the song and maybe play it with him. But deep down, he's looking for a moment that he can make a fool out of you. He's also looking to rip up, distort, or take credit for your beautiful messages from God to the people. Although he secretly loves to be educated on the reality of the true God, especially when the spirit is within the man. Why? The energy surrounding revelation is absolutely magical and can also feel absolutely terrifying because of its power. When somebody has it on their heart to speak the word of God, and God gives them the spirit to deliver that word, a devil uses the power of that energy to strut and to magnify his mind and creativity rather than to glorify the Spirit of the Lord, who is the creator of the mind and the giver of creativity. So, a prophet speaks, then a devil manipulates or follows up the words, leaving people with both reality and illusion. The devil is trying to maneuver. Oh gosh. Come on, get out. There we go. He's trying to maneuver. Hold on. Maneuver the minds of people from thinking upon the laws of God into a strictly imaginative, creative mind that acts sometimes as nothing other than a distraction from what's real and a barrier from our own greatness. If we get too in awe of our imaginative, adventurous potential, we can often neglect the laws of oneself and get lost on that train of how creative we can become. creativity can act as a barrier from liberation just as much as it can act as a liberation itself. Oh my god, that is so powerful, bro. The devil's mind works so fast, so crookedly, that it's actually entertaining to observe the way his mind works. For me, not so. Because where there is revelation... Wait, for me, not so. Besides, where there is revelation, but for the majority of people, he is, for them, a flamboyant character with many a wonder. Let go and let God. So, that's really powerful, that. That's so powerful. I'm gonna read that in my own time, because, there's a book I've not really gone into it, because it's so creative that it really, again, it's a bit of a hindrance, I think, to just staying. It's mixing truth with falsehood, basically. I've wrote like a story, but I wrote stories of like nature. It's like an Avatar type film, or type. It's a film. I've wrote a 25-book series. It is, and I called it Malakatala. I was gonna I've sacrificed it, but I think because I've been learning a lot from myself, I got a lot of these lessons from making the right turns instead of the wrong ones. So where I was sometimes creatively going with this word, with this truth, I was going into the unreal, and it kind of made me learn to stay with the real. And so sometimes you learn lessons from where you would have been or where you could have been. Because I praise God, like Master Fard Muhammad, for it, because it's almost like when you go right instead of left and you learn the lesson of if you went left, it's really beautiful because you can help other people that unfortunately have gone left. So, which is really something as well, because I'm so glad, right, that the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. Because if I wanted that world, that creative idea, and those stories more than I wanted God, or like more than I knew that the Lord was my shepherd, I would have probably paid the price in other ways that I wouldn't have known until I got to those points where, things started to not weigh out and balance out and just not go right for me. Do you know what I mean? So, I learn lessons about myself as I grow into the mind of God, by His grace. And so, and it's really something that I really advise you to do a lot, is like genuinely look at you. Like, don't forget that you are a God, and don't forget that you are in transition. And look at the things by nature that you say, I don't want to do that, and look at the things by nature that you say, I want to do that, and then weigh it up with the mission. See what I mean? Come back to the mission and then say, well, and this is something, right? I said it to went for my dinner yesterday with my mother. Went to the Carvery, my nana. It was a lovely time. But listen, I said this example. I said, if Jesus was to come to your house for breakfast, I said, you wouldn't make him wine, because she was trying to pour the water into wine on me thing, and I was like, no, no, no. I said, you telling me you'd pour him a glass of wine? You'd pour Jesus a glass of wine? I said, what you telling me you'd make Jesus sausage, egg, and beans and bacon? Obviously, I say it with a smile. I say it in a cheerful manner, as cheerful as I can make it. Because at the end of the day, it is truth and it is heavy, and we've got to be, to some degree, like, serious. We have to be serious. We've got to be serious with this. Like, it's got to be real, but we have to give it in a goodly manner, in the best manner. So it's like that. I don't really know where I've gone with all that, but I'm sure it makes sense. I hope it does. Praise be to Allah. Okay, we're on the next folder here, which is good. So we are moving forward at a lightning speed rate, it seems, as usual. Okay. The white man was created to be a natural killer or a natural antagonist to the black man. Is a The white man is a killer today. If you look at him today, he's finding new ways to become the ultimate killer. At the beginning of his journey, he didn't have the great gear that the killers of today's day and time have. See, I seen something yesterday that said that our poor Palestinian brothers and sisters, they were vaporized. Like, they've got weapons that they're getting from America that genuinely vaporize their entire beings at 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I think somebody made a breakdown video of this, and he said that in the cremation, parlors where you get your body cremated, it's something like, it's 3,000 degrees, 3,000 and a little bit more. So we'll call it 3,400 degrees. It's not the exact figure, but it was, four different numbers. Four different numbers. We started with 3,000, so we'll just call it 3,400 degrees Fahrenheit to melt a body, to decompose of a body. And I think he said even still there's a few like bones and whatnot, there's a few things. So these poor Palestinian brothers and sisters are being hit with these biochemical, it's biological, no, yeah, biochemical warfare thing, something like that. But it's just tremendous what the white man has today. He's fulfilling the scripture of the devil, The devil's in the scriptures, as we well know, and as you will well have probably heard, just even not even being a studier, that he's like the bad man, He's the bad guy. Well, the bad guys today are using these things that are genuinely melting folk. And, I remember the minister saying he's so wise today in his murder that he can make a murder look like an accident, and he can make an accident look like a murder, and it's really something to have to actually. To just watch our Palestinian brothers and sisters is so painful, and it's even more annoying that Trump's doing what he's doing. He's such a wicked man, Donald Trump. Sorry to throw that out there, but yeah, he's really. But he's doing a job, man. He's doing a job for God, and that's something that we should just, in our emotion, always try to remember that he's doing a job for God. So, praise be to Allah who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Okay. Call the Devil the Stylist in part of the book that's about fashion and how they are using fashion to manipulate our minds and make it suggestive in a harmful way. But anyway, the stylist is even dressing up those with Down syndrome in women's clothing and having them flaunt around to be made mockery of, as well as serve an agenda which is against us. And I've put in, I've just thought, what's it called? What's it called now? That transgender, transgenderism. That's what's going on there as well. Not only is he sexualizing us. See, I'll go back to that point before when I said that the devil, he doesn't mind being nude and being strange in wearing not that many clothes. Hence why they have a lot of problems with Muslims who cover their adornment. But he's making clothes that like take us to the point of our private parts in terms of our eyes. Like, you look at, I swear to God, man, like, when I'm walking through town, I gotta be careful, like, with my eyes, because some of the sisters are like, yeah, some of the sisters are just like genuinely, and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that we're going to enter a time in the future that women will walk around with clothes, but it won't. It'll be as though they're not wearing any, meaning it'll be so tight that like she may as well have not. She might as well not be walking around with anything on because it's like there's one layer between, like one thin layer, and it's like as a man, like Lord have mercy. I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny, but you know, you have to really like lower your gaze. It says in the Quran, you have to lower your gaze because men are not men are like men are men. So, and then I've put, if you can picture the devil being cast down naked, he then spends his 6,000 years looking for each piece of clothing. Ooh, 6 pieces of clothing for 6,000 years. Look at that. That's beautiful. I mean, it really is. It really is like that, though. Although on the bloody, sorry, pardon me, that's not good language. On the 6,000th year, it's as though he's not got any on. So it's almost as though when he got all his clothes in the end, it's as though they were only to, anyway. Yeah, I kind of don't feel very comfortable right now, but I've got to say it. Somebody got to say it, you know. So okay, think, but with the end in mind. Let death humble you to the reality of God. They say you won't have an original thought. Trying to link them in my brain, but maybe they're not quite linking, but it's alright, we're going to move on. You have to meet your shadow self eventually, your dark side, and win that shadow or that darker side of you over. You do. You have to. You have to face. You have to face the part of you that the minister refers to as like your worst enemy, and you have to meet that part of you that is like the slinking devil or the whisperings of shaitan, and that keeps you ignorant, that keeps you arrogant. And you know what? I tell you what, I will give you this today because I'll give you this now because today I wrote this down in work today, and I thought it was so powerful. It says, it's as though ignorance and arrogance go hand in hand, because if you're arrogant, you're obviously and clearly ignorant of something, and if you're ignorant of something, then to continue ignoring it, you must have adopted a form of arrogance as a way for you to remain ignorant of it. See what I'm saying? It's a very spiritual broadcast, guys. We're going into the realms to defeat Satan. I told you. Come on. I'm here for you as your brother. You know, and I'm here to also whop out on the Satan that we've all got inside of us. You know, ain't not one of us not got a dark side and not got a self-accusing spirit. See, we've all got it, but we all need help with it, and that's hopefully what I'm here to provide. Anyway, we've gone through that anyway. Okay. There's no politics without accountability. Somebody go tell Mr. Trump. There's a people that come back to God, and there are a people that are going to get whooped hard by God for what they have done to the people that are now coming back to God. A people coming in and another going out. A people coming to life and another being brought to death. Be careful who you let profit from your destiny. And by the way, I spelt that with profit, as in not Profit, it's Prophet. So be careful who you let profit from your destiny. See that? It's like people will use your wisdom, your ideas. There's some copycats going on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of that today, and really we don't, maybe not amongst us, but definitely in the dunya, there's a lot of people stealing folks' stuff and stealing folks', I don't know. It's all very strange. Like, yeah, it's just strange, isn't it, guys? It's a strange world. So be careful who you let profit from your destiny. Some people keep. Sometimes you have to keep certain secrets and certain ideas close. So I wrote something about that today as well, but I don't want to. No, maybe I should. I'm gonna do it. Why not? Okay. Let me see if I can find it, and if I can't quick enough, then we are gonna move on because I don't want to just be, you know. Okay, when somebody has a good idea, there's a reason why they don't or might not always share it or reveal it straight away. And it's because they might have an awareness that somebody might steal it, or that they might, or that somebody else might corrupt it, or tell it to those who would use it and essentially ruin the idea by not treating it with the proper care. So that's what I wrote today. See how things come full circle. Praise be to Allah. It's almost as though He knew I was going to hit this point, and so He gave me that to help me. So I just really love Him, and oh, it's just amazing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. All right, where was we up to here? Was that one done? Oh no, it wasn't. Okay. People would rather be certain they're miserable than risk being happy. It's pretty self-explanatory. Love that. The black man being God's people and having the first seat. Wait. The black man being God's people and having the first seat in heaven. It's not a case of race as to why that's the case, but it's an honouring and an acknowledgement of their bringing forth all other peoples into existence. They are not going to be the pinnacle of God's kingdom because they are the most innovative, cultural, artistic, or of the sort. No. The deeper spiritual and scientific meaning to their throne is actually based around the measurements of the universe. If they are not where they designed themselves to be, everything else ceases to exist. So whenever you think I'm taking it back to race war, know that what I'm saying is it's a risk to live a good life while the giver of your life, or the one in whom you came from, is in the mud. But the beautiful thing about the mud, guys, is that it grows you. You know, I remember I was speaking to a brother. Remember, you'll know from the other lectures, the other episodes, I was speaking to Lucky. Do you remember? Well, I was in the spirit and I got to the part when I said, "You're the cream of the planet Earth." Anyway, I went to the ground and I grabbed a bit of dirt, bit of mud, and sort of swished it in my hands. I said, "This is the cream of the planet Earth, brother." I said, "This is like you, brother. You're like the substance, you know, the essence from which all things came." So it's just beautiful, isn't it? It so is. It so is. Okay. It's a risk to have the strongest players on the bench in a close match. Yeah. Well, God's the same, but He experiments. So picture it like this, brothers and sisters. FC Milky Way have been playing their style of possession, blocking and stealing for their time in great, not good form. See how things like are almost like set up to go on, but they don't. It's very interesting. I find that the Quran does that a lot. It's as though when I read the Quran, it's as though it stops mid explaining something. And maybe I can find an example. I've got my Quran here. I don't go anywhere without it. But maybe there's a moment that I can give you a bit of an example. Alright, yeah, I've literally just found one, and it's chapter 20, Taha. It's verse 8, and it just says this, Allah, and then there's a big space in between. So you could say, watch, are you ready for this? Praise be to Allah, I'm not adding and being mischievous here, but listen. It says, Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, there is no God but He. His are the most beautiful names. See what I'm saying? So, like, and it's got 8 sections as well. So it just so happened to be the 8th verse. Yeah, that 8 is very interesting to me as well. Gosh, I need to read that chapter. I love that chapter. There's Taha, and there's another one that that's like that in sound. What is that one? No, I'm not studying right now. I'm studying mid telling you all this. This is like not cool, dude. I mean, it is cool, but it's like y'all are just waiting for me to carry on. You probably got your tea on. You probably, you've got your kids to look after or whatever, or whatever's going on. You're probably just like, I wish this brother would just hurry up. But sometimes slow and steady wins a race, doesn't it? So, but I like that. It's a risk to have the strongest players on the bench in a close match. But now watch this. I say, well, God's the same, but he experiments. That part. So picture it like this, brothers. FC Milky Way. So I'm basically saying, I'm saying the white man. FC Milky Way have been playing their style of possession. Their style. Their style of possession. Blocking and stealing for their time in great, not good form. Let me just turn that down because I don't want that to be coming on whilst I'm talking. Okay, I'm going to move on swiftly. To get your teeth clean, you're going to choose brushing your teeth, but when it comes to our souls, we go to food, drugs, alcohol, and things of that nature. But a massage for the body is prayer for the soul, if you didn't know. Wonderful. Okay, do you know how difficult it is to be alone? Now imagine you see God, but he doesn't know he's God. He thinks of himself very low as opposed to what he's capable of achieving, which is master in the known universe. This is us, by the way. This is like us. Like, I see us like this. Like, we're like sleeping gods in a way. A lot of us, like all of us. Like we genuinely. But anyway, so I'll carry on going. Okay. The pain in having to see a downtrodden black man walking around as if he ain't a direct descendant of the God that originated all that you see. Read that again. The human beings on the earth today are not the same ones that were here 76 trillion years ago. No, sir. The caliber of their intellect and technology wipes the floor with this world's wisdom and technology. So back then it wipes the floor of today's, maybe not our understanding now as a nation. We are actually we are very high, as we know. We've had on the other lectures, the other broadcasts, how lucky we are in this time, and that I hope you remember that in this case. No, sir. The caliber of their intellect and technology wipes the floor with this world's wisdom and technology. They say we lost the way, but what way? Is there a way? Wherein by those ways one can master self and creation? Okay, moving on. You don't want that medical prescriptions from the doctor who earns more money prescribing you all kinds of body altering, colon altering, heart altering, mind frying, private part abusing substances. You don't need medical assistance in that sense. There are ways to clean the colon. There are ways to activate your own body's healing. If you pitifully hope that the person that gave you the disease is going to give you a cure, then be careful. Because on the next pills and shots that have been and are coming, that might just be the last thing you put in your body. It might be the last time you can smell. It might be the last time you can eat and taste your food. It might be the last time you hear anything. Depopulation, as we know, is their agenda, and they are going to work to remove as many of God's people as possible. You study the angel, and the angel studies you. Yeah, that reminds me of Master Fard Muhammad, because when he came among us, he went into the cupboards and threw away all the medication. He wasn't having none of it. He took it all out and he said, I'm going to prescribe us all with fasting, which is 1 meal a day. And when you've mastered 1 meal a day, you have 1 meal every 2 days. And if you have 1 meal every 2 days, when you've mastered that, you do 1 meal every other day. And this is how you live longer, guys, whether you want to take me up on that or not. I always explain it like a train. If you put more, pardon me, if you put more coal on the fire, you essentially make the train work harder to run. But if you put it in doses and the train learns, so it's like the train of the system of the body learns to deal with that coal much slower, then you stretch out the lifespan and the life expectancy of the creation. All praises be to Allah. The originator was looking at people eons in time and nurturing and also crushing them with his attributes. Oof. Blimey. Wait, let me say that again. The originator was looking at people eons in time and nurturing and also crushing them with his attributes. And then you know what's crazy as well is right after that I've put, pardon me, I don't think you heard me, brothers and sisters. So I know I'm onto something there when I've wrote that, because I just know that it's heavier than you think. It says, and then right after that it goes, tap in. This one's exciting. Come on, let's go. Okay, God and man like to plan in advance. So to get right to the point, what did Allah, the originator of the heavens and the earth, have to see? What could he see? He had to see that billions upon trillions of people were going to be brought into existence as a result of the choices that he made. So to really understand the present moment and everything about yourself now, it's an absolute keystone to think over and be curious about the very beginning of what you now are to be. Thinking over on your beginning will help you see the importance of your course back to this point. You are a human, yes, simply that is the case. But your complexity says you are beyond just what you think you are. But what I'm saying is, what about that first one? What about the power that he must have had to have put all of this into motion, and it's still in motion today? When Michael danced, that was God activated inside of man to only a certain degree. I'm talking about Michael Jackson there. I love Michael. Oh, rest in peace, Michael. We love you. Activated inside of man to only a certain degree, a degree which still shocked the world. There's a godly essence or an exciting feeling reverberating within when thinking over the origin of humans and forgotten knowledge. That feeling or that unknowingness or unknownness is indestructible because we naturally want to know. The brain cell was created to think rightly. So we are the highest manifestation of life, and so we have the most suitable mind to rule the universe. We are the most interesting to nature, as beautiful as nature is, and the highest, that is what we are. And the highest here could also mean the prevailing because to stay at the same height in thought can be pretty difficult. They say getting to the top is one thing, then staying there is a whole different ballgame. The higher winds are usually real strong for the creation that can get there. That's the way God made it. Nature says to us, if I can reach it, then hold on a minute, while I make it happen somehow. If I can reach it, then hold on a minute while I make it happen somehow. Yeah. And so the spirit to keep trying or keep going in the creation will never die. Nature naturally wants to succeed and complete whatever it's doing. So you can't break the truth in nature, brothers and sisters. In other words, that mighty fine artwork which is called the human being, or as creation itself, is actually too glorious to mishandle and corrupt all the way to nothing. It is too brilliant, its potential is unique, its design is mighty mechanics. Even electricity, the most mysterious force, runs through us and throughout creation. We are in an electromagnetic space, meaning we can take frequency and connect it from technology to the atoms of the air itself. Wi Fi, but I'm talking about supernatural Wi Fi, supernatural and superpowered technology. What I'm saying, as a creation, we are advanced and optimized to the point where we are so advanced, so capable, that we can't yet fathom the depth of our own designs in and over creation. We install and programmed our mind with everything but what it needs to know to fully handle this moment in time. So we never double look actually what we are capable of. And so the peak of our potential to us seems limited when really it's forever. Humans, we send impulses from our brains one to another. We can see things without seeing, see through a spectrum or the dimensions. We have the power to imagine what is to what is to put an image in our own minds. Man, we can levitate, understand animals, communicate the most creatively. We can dance. Sorry, we can sing, we can dance, backflips, front flips, mathematics, chemistry, biology. You get the point, you name it. So, but about that first God, praise be to Allah, about that first God, he saw how refined the science of the human being had to be. He had to make a piece of art that nobody could replicate to prove and or remind that absolute royalty in a form of design had been among the people, to prove that his way that he chose to go with God was a good way, and also that it was attractive, that it could produce powerfully thinking gods, people, and thus what you see present in the house, but there's nobody inside. People living in a house, a body they don't know how to operate fully to the highest potential. To their knowledge, no manual to this impeccable construction. But so the human being is an ancient design, an intensely expressionalized creation, and a way of God developing creation into himself or making a creation to reflect part of himself, God. I mean, the God who is Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the originator, this one whom I speak of, he must have had some serious mental and scientific juice. To conclude, I want to say that driving the point home is one thing. Anybody can drive a point across. But hear me out. To really give you that zoomed scope perspective of how grateful, sacrificing we ought to be for that one that only did so much as a wobble thing wise, and that we have an opportunity to give our lives to this truth for all in the world to benefit from. It's this we should aim for, brothers and sisters. Submit yourself to Master Fard Muhammad. All praises be to Allah. Oh my God, I feel like prostrating. Oh my God. That was a lot, that, wasn't it, guys? I'm on fire now. I'm a flared right now. I loved reading that. I knew it was gonna be good. They even said before it, I could, I sometimes just feel the vibe, and I'm like, yo, this is gonna be good. Wow. Oh, I really want to go over that again, but I know I've not got time. But I really advise you all listening to that again, and just really thinking on the originator. I've got as many things I have written in all of these documents. In God knows where it will all be, but there's a lot that I've got about the originator. That was one of the things I've been so excited about telling and expressing some of the things about the originator, because it seems that there's been, as I think, and as I am a student, and as I study, things appear in my mind about the originator that, oh my God, are so beautiful. And you had the privilege of listening to one of them there. Oh, it's just a wonderful thing. Okay, stop getting excited, even though I have every right to be, and so do you. So do we. Okay. To the establishment of Pharaoh, these following words are for you. Okay, we went from one scope. I went from the absolute 0 to 100 right there, because we're about to go to Pharaoh. So we're going from the originator to Pharaoh. So buckle up. All right. To the establishment of Pharaoh, these following words are for you. You can see the brothers on the earth minding their own, but you can't. Oh wait, sorry. I'm always slow down, Jack. I need to just relax. That really fired me up, that last thing. So I need to kind of just get back in the flow a bit. To the establishment of Pharaoh, these following words are for you. You can see the brothers on the earth minding their own, but can you see the kings and angels in high places guiding those brothers, listening in on your thoughts, some of them desperate to wipe you from the face of the earth? The knowledge and the technology, the old slave masters have been hiding it from us, especially from his ex-slave, because they know that God's hiding it from them, because they have killed all of the prophets some way or another without reason, but what but without reason, but that they said he was a madman. And then I put, this was on my spirit, I wrote it down for you brothers, and a little feather. I believe the feather is a lovely little sign for me, from God. I always, when I see feathers, sometimes I'll pick them up. At my mother's, I have 5 feathers in like an array near the mirror, and they all like go in like a span of different directions. And I don't know why I mentioned that, but I just love feathers. Okay. The Asiatic black man, the original man, he's the most ancient, the most refined of all human beings or gods on planet Earth. The civilizations that have and will come through this people in the future, past Egypt, Atlantis, Mayans, and also unspoken or unknown civilizations that this world has no record of, are far more in tune to the natural sciences. These civilizations and their knowledge is kept hidden from us all purposely. Slavery was rooted in that the at the time ruling powers of the planet couldn't handle the staggering record of the black man, which is ancient of ancient, the cream of the planet Earth, as we said. White people actually actually being here on this planet for only 6,000 years, around that, take it or let it alone, and we done nothing but cause mischief and causing the shedding of blood. Wait, and we done nothing but cause mischief and causing the shedding of blood. Reaches the messenger. I think I'm meant to say against messengers or something like that. Something has to be corrected. Yeah, that bit. Something has to be corrected in our nature. Most people have buried the ideology of racism, which is a major keystone and a positive step. But let's not be naive enough, pardon me, slow to think. That 400 years of chattel slavery and mistreatment of the people of God in a universe that mirrors back at you what you put out isn't going to deal with you at some point down the line. Life talks to you. Everything is message being conveyed. You know who fires the arrows and you know who puts the water on your head. See, do you know, all praise be to Allah, because honestly, and praise be to Allah for inspiring my mother to call this and to give me the title, pardon me, of of this broadcast, the universal. I think it's such a perfect name for it, because it it just it really fits everything that is. It kind of just fit. It really fits, and I'm starting to really see that it fits. And yeah, it's all praise be to Allah. Okay. If we have to be shown our history the same way somebody must show them their history and make it real plain and truthful, the truth is among. Sorry. We have to be shown our history the same way somebody must show them their history, and we make it real plain and truthful. The truth is among the people today. One people may be pleased with their efforts in the past, in their history, but by the sword, nobody should be or has a to right to ignored, pleased to be. See, my brain's moving too fast. I can tell my brain's just moving too fast, and I think I've got it down, but I've not. I've just, again, my brain was moving too fast. I'll probably have to break that down in my own time, inshallah, and we'll get what that's trying to say. But I'm sure it was to some degree self-explanatory, but we are going to have to move on, unfortunately. Okay. The underestimations of the power in ancient civilizations. It's just a sentence, but yeah. You just don't understand. Oh, yes, it probably goes on. You just don't understand why you need to know Christ. You don't understand how important it is to know who and what you are. Knowing that truth and understanding that is such a massive, has such a massive effect on your inner world. And that's what this is all about. You know, we want to be strong today on all levels, and this is one of the strongest levels that you can be strong in. You know, the minister was told by the most honourable Elijah Muhammad, your greatest gift is in the spiritual, which should show you guys, if the minister is the Messiah, and he is, then think about this. If any of us, you know, from the least to the most, which really doesn't make no sense because we're all equal, but that's how it feels sometimes. But if any of us, from, let's say, the tail to the head, you know, are expressing a spiritual quality or a spiritual capacity, it doesn't really matter what day it is and what's in the oven. We have to try to figure out a way to deliver, you know, or make a connection and serve a reminder of that to the people and to those who we seek to save from the judgment that is coming. Because ultimately, to have that gift that the minister has top of his, you know, top of his list on terms of the greatest of his gifts, you know, then we should really, really value this kind of stuff. Just I'm just throwing it out there. And it's not, I'm not saying, even though I am saying, you know, help me. Sorry. Oh, I should stop laughing like that. But it is saying help me, but it's really help me to help me help you. Help me help you. Praise be to Allah. I'm pretty sure that I that's a download. I've got that from somewhere. Hold on a minute. Let me get the brother. What's his name? Allah. George. Brother George. His name is Brother George. Oh, he's a great brother. I'll remember his second name, but his first name is George. So, okay. Okay. What was I up to? You just don't understand why you need to know. Yeah, so we got that part. Okay, when you stare at the sun or the moon outright, it is different than seeing it through reflection. Whatever it is that it is reflecting off is limited, except the human being. Except the human being, if it be the will of him that permits you to go through certain gateways of sight. We are learning to see you through the eyes of you rather than what we see. Having a characteristic of care and attentiveness can attract a characteristic of a knowing unattentiveness or sense of it. It's harder to see the truth through a reflective thing because depending on the will of the serving or reflecting thing, it is limited in what it can reflect. Both of you have shown many characteristics of running towards us with your minds, past and present, and both of you have shown characteristics of running away from us with your mind, past or present. If I am a man that can intake, receive, and take on the pursuit of finding the truth, what do you think you look like telling me that a single truth is unbearable? Or, and then it doesn't go on there, but I'm struggling to see that as well as I would like to. I can see it partially, but I can. It kind of goes with the subject, doesn't it? It's like I'm seeing it through a reflection. Anyway, okay, there's a point to a tree, there's a point on a human, and there's a point everywhere in nature. Ooh, I love that. There's a point everywhere in nature. There's a point on a human. There's a point on a tree, to a tree. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I'm going to move on. The Muslim community, or rather the Muslim world, is too mystical in their approach to Islam. They are blinded with their own mysticism, and because of this, they do reject true Islam, which, if one understood, is the very real life reality, not some fairy tale. And that's a thought, like, just while I'm there, I see plenty of videos on, like, YouTube and stuff, and listen, as beautiful as the heavens are, as in, you know, the majestic realm of Allah's universe, you know, they do a real number on us and a real fair share of sharing sharing the truth through a space kind of outlook and with a space kind of depiction. You know, when Sister Tainetta said that a picture speaks 1,000 words, well, just think about how many thousands of words it's been speaking to us for the sake of, you know, showing us a planet while speaking about, you know, the heavens, when really it's a state of mind. Can you think, like, we've been leaving our mind just on Earth, just to the dust, whereas our minds are just in space. And I think it really does paint a picture of our Eastern world. Not to be, I'm not being offensive, and quite frankly, I don't care if you think I am being offensive. I'm being truthful. I'm being straight to the point, and I'm speaking straight words. And you know what? I'm so spiritual. I know you know exactly what I'm saying, and you know that it needs to get brought into, you know, modern times. It needs to get brought into, yeah, like the messenger said, Allah wants to make himself known, and it has to be brought straight down into the modern times, you know. So anyway, the reality of God is to be recognized on a physical plane, otherwise, the reality of God is to be recognized on a physical plane, otherwise, what would be the point of a material universe? If there was a God, and by the way, I'm referring mainly to, like, Earth, like, we need to bring it down to here. If there was a God, which there clearly is, don't you think that he would deliver the truth of himself to his creation at some point or another? Where there is no truth, there is much trial and want, and since the knowledge, the true knowledge of God, has not been known for so long, 66 trillion years to be precise, people, especially the Muslim world, are cut off from the true interpretation of the messianic occurrence and therefore have gone under great trial. Since God sent us Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan, why? Wait, he didn't just send them, he made them. So let me just say that. Since God sent us Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan, why the Muslim is looking for a dead Jesus or a spirit rather than a man, or in this case, men, powerful, I do not know. But what I do know is this ignorance and this superiority vibe is a product of misunderstanding and relinquishment of truth. What is so hard to understand about a man of God being sent to a people 300 times worse in condition and in ignorance than any time before? Where are you looking for guidance in this dark time? I am compelled to ask. And who better to trust as a guide than the man that God has entrusted and appointed to teach us? Do you see what I'm saying here? Like, I'm really painting it so plain that only a fool can say that this is not the truth. Come on, we're going to keep going. As it happens, emotional reactions are triggered when certain information is given to replace false information. So what you find is most people are not having true conversations. They are actually having emotional reactions to everything that seems to trigger enlightenment. The child doesn't want to go to school because he doesn't like the idea of growing up into an individual, independent or apart from the parents that provided everything for him. There's this natural desire for everything to run smoothly and easy, but then at the same time, in us, there's also something in us that loves a challenge. So it's a beautiful picture of that, how we just sometimes wrestle against just not the, the choice of growing up, but the actual fact of having to grow up and the reality of it, of us growing up and maturing. The child might not want to mature. He might not want to grow up, but so long as Allah gives him breath every day, he's going to have to face that fact, isn't he? He's going to have to grow up. Like, that's just what it is. And if we look at this spiritually, it speaks volumes. So, okay. Every day the people are in that hopeless place. Pardon me, sorry. And it is... Wait, let's start that again. Every day the people are in that hopeless place. It is you, O masters of the next phase, the kings of old, those that see the illusions, life's insides. You are the conductors that sing the next song. I don't understand it enough to elaborate, therefore, oh yes, oh my god, right, before I say this one, because, in fact, I'm going to underline it. Where's my pen? Because I do need this. Just pardon me for a moment, guys, just... where have I put my pen? I left it in my pocket. It doesn't matter. Right, so it says, and it's something that I want us to use this when we don't have an answer. It's for when somebody, it might even be somebody causing mischief or wants to ask you a weird question or wants to... It can serve so many things, guys, and this is why I would like to say it. But I'm making a meal out of it because if you remember it, it will save you a lot of trouble. We'll just say that. Okay, it says, I don't understand it enough to elaborate, therefore I fear I might explain not the truth. I'm going to say that again. I don't understand. This is for when a minute, let me just give you a bit more context as well about this. When the minister didn't know, when Elijah asked him a question, he didn't pretend like he knew. He said, I don't know, sir. I don't know, dear apostle. He's like, if Elijah Muhammad said, do you know what this is? He said, no, sir. If he didn't know, and if he did, I'm sure he'd give it a go. But he said most of the time, I didn't know. So I said, no, sir. So this is a statement. I'm going to say it again. This is a statement for when you are in those moments. Okay, you can write it down yourself. It's a good one to use. I don't understand it enough to elaborate, and therefore I fear I might explain not the truth. We're going to have it one last time. I don't understand it enough to elaborate, therefore I fear I might not explain. No, sorry, I didn't even say it right then. I'm so sorry. I don't understand it enough to elaborate, therefore I fear I might explain not the truth. Okay. Okay, they call it this is the next one. They call it a black hole, not a red one or a green one. The universe is black, is it not? Out of the blackness comes the essence to make the light. So the stars, the planets, you name it. And then it just stops there. But, It's very interesting. They call it a black hole, not a red one. It's almost like the universe bears witness to what I'm teaching, to what we're teaching, to what we know, to what the messenger revealed, to what Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, gave. So, you know, nature bears witness, you know. Nature is a strong witness. I love that. Praise be to Allah. Okay, some people actually think that because they earn a lot of money that they can get whatever they want. How much is peace? How much is trust? Tell me, what is the cost of loyalty? And then I've put the price of heaven is sacrifice. Praise be to Allah. So, you see how spiritual I take it? I'm taking it to a spiritual realm, guys. You know, we're thinking too materially. And I think to some degree there's a what do they call that? There's a zone in the middle. There's a place that we should sit in the middle of this, that we're not lopsided, if that makes sense, which is that we should, you know, have things, have our money and our materials and our stuff, but we should also have, you know, our spiritual, you know, armor and our spiritual assets as well as our physical assets. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Okay. Do you know that there are disasters happening everywhere? There are volcanoes that have been dormant for a very long time, suddenly erupting. Mother Earth is at God's command. And this is really on time because right now you have volcanoes just absolutely going off left, right, and centre. It really is something to behold. Like I believe there's a volcano in Ethiopia that went off recently that hadn't gone off for 6,000 years. Which, if you dwell on that number as somebody in the nation, somebody who's, you know, learned in the scriptures, you know that 6,000 year number, and you know who that 6,000 year number represents, or represents the time period of. Do you know what I'm saying? The devil was given 6,000 years to rule. Now the volcano's going off. Okay, well, this is, you know what I'm saying? The world is speaking. The world is speaking to us. So Mother Earth is at God's command. You know? Okay. When you talk about those fake leaders and false prophets, I hope for your sake that you're not insinuating that this man Farrakhan is a false man, or that he is some form of churchism hoax that he's teaching. So let's just set the record straight as an arrow. Farrakhan is no false man. The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan is no false man. He is no false teacher, and he is backed by a spirit and by two that are masters of the known universe as we know it. And they are together, and they are the great Mahdi and the great Messiah. And they are whom the prophecies of Prophet Muhammad and Jesus referred to as both. The one coming in his name, and Prophet Muhammad referring to the Mahdi, meaning the self-guided one. So that is who I'm talking about. But I'm linking that to the fact that they're backing Farrakhan up, the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Messiah. So we need to bear that in mind if we are thinking that this man is a false man. He is far from false, and he is far from somebody who cannot aid in our spiritual and our ultimate and our all-round development as we grow into a nation of gods. Okay, praise be to Allah. There are solid reasons why some people can't stomach Louis Farrakhan properly. Yeah, that's true. There are. Yeah. See, though, you have a solid, you have a liquid, you have a gas. But I just said there are solid reasons why some people can't stomach the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'll leave that there. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm saying. You know. Okay. One they eat the wrong foods as it is. Okay, so this goes with this. So there are solid reasons why. Look at me. Praise be to Allah. Okay, there are solid reasons why some people can't stomach Louis Farrakhan properly. One, they eat the wrong foods as it is, but understandably, some spiritual food can actually be disturbing or come as a shock for some people. The second reason is they envy him, and their envy blocks them from fully recognizing, acknowledging him because they're too busy driving themselves crazy over his achievements and his works. Thirdly, what he's teaching and its radius has actually never been taught before. So, of course, it's natural metaphor for the Big Bang of theories and unanswered questions to plan a war against certainty. Ooh, to come together to disrupt a single truth, to make mischief in and around an indestructible answer. Scripture teaches us that some suspicion is sin, because the energy you give off in your suspicions has an effect on who your suspicions about and upon you and actually everyone else. Metaphor. It's like you going into a beehive and staring down one of the biggest bees in front of all the others. Whether you see it or not, there's going to be a fight somewhere in that scenario. Scripture also says, this is powerful, this, isn't it? I told you I'm a warrior. Praise be to Allah. Scripture also says, how can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced? From the rocky peaks I see them, from the heights I view them. I see a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations. The point I'm making is you can't break a man whom God has favour upon. You can't make good look evil unless it pleases God. So you might have all the suspicions in the world about this man, but if you've got no evidence, you're cooked. Praise be to Allah. Okay, I found it really funny that people would take their suspicions and wearinesses into a form of research. I found it really funny that people would take their suspicions and wearinesses into a form of research. And so what was funny to me is that people who may not be very fond of the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan would have to sit there through hours of wisdom and love and knowledge looking for something that isn't there. But what made me smile is in their pursuit to break a man down and find evidence against him, God had other plans. So the voice of God, the spirit of truth, the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan ends up transforming the people that were sent to kill him. Oh my Lord, praise be to Allah. Oh man, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. In their research, they'd find the truth. Oh, it's just wonderful. You know the amount of agents that I've probably I've heard that the minister said that there's been an agent or there's been agents that have come in the nation and they've ended up actually bearing witness and becoming Muslim because, it's dead sad that, some of us are put in that position where we're thinking all kinds of evil about each other to a point where the enemy can come in and give us a job to go in amongst the nation and cause a ruckus or whatever. It's sad that that actually happens, but I just find it really funny that, Farrakhan ends up transforming him. And they end up coming out this is just amazing, isn't it? It's just wonderful. It makes me confident. It makes me confident when people have those thoughts against me, Especially when I've gone into like churches and whatnot, it's really interesting, right? I'll go into churches, right? Or I've been in churches in the past, and like, because I'm obviously a white man in the UK, so I go in. I don't look Muslim, obviously, so I go in. So they treat me like I'm Christian. But the minute I say I'm Muslim, you want to see the difference, like in. But the beautiful thing is, I don't tell them straight away. See what I'm saying? I like to just test the waters, me. I'm like that. You'll find that about me. I like to locate where you are. You know what I'm saying? I like to know if I'm walking with Satan or God. I like to just test the water sometimes for no reason. That's just what I'm like. I'm sorry if I'm like that, and I'm also not sorry. But that's the way Allah has me protecting my own spirit as well today. Makes me sure about everything, and I walk a lonely road some days because of it, most days. But you know, you set yourself up as a prey in this world. When you follow the Christ. But if you go beyond that point, you'll find people don't want to actually come anywhere near you because they can't prey on you anymore. I mean, they can prey on you in a bit of a tormentative way and like subtly, but they can't do it openly anymore after a certain point because they know you're too spiritually active to get past. See, remember when the minister said there's a guard at your ear and you've got to be on guard, like the guard will not let anything in, it'll not let the mess in, you understand? So you have to be alert today. Okay, we are gonna wrap this up pretty soon. We are 3 pages away. No, two and a quarter. So come on, we can do this, guys. It's been long today, I know it has, but it's been full, and I've really emptied myself, and gosh, I could probably do a marathon after this. All right. So, in fact, no, we're nearly at the bottom of this page, so it's just 1.5 pages. So, if that makes you feel any better, okay. But you have to understand that new teaching is like a new invention. People don't quite know how to take it at first, and it's in those times where you have to plant yourself like a tree and really connect with your confirmation signs. I'm not joking, there are moments that my own mind will actually ask me very sneakily, do you actually believe that this man Farrakhan is connected to everything that he says he is? And I'm as solid as a rock to move. I'll die before I cuss out my teacher. I'd rather say nothing to God than talk rubbish to him and curse him out. Now, it's not necessarily something that, like, it doesn't happen no more, but there was a time it was when I used to wear my cross, actually. I used to wear my cross, like, it was a while back, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you might actually understand what I'm saying here, but like, there's moments where, like, your mind, it's the whispers. Oh my God. Like, there's sometimes just whispers that are not you, and you have to be able to laugh after it and go, who the hell do you think you're whispering to? Like, I don't know whether you might relate to that, but there are certain things in your conscience that you have to separate yourself from quickly, and or else you're gonna end up somewhere. Not that it really has any power if you don't let it, but it can be something so simple. It could be this. Watch, you ready? It could be, I wonder if there's another woman. I wonder if there's another woman. You didn't. You had no. You don't have no evidence of there being another woman, but your own mind said it. Your own mind said, "Yeah, there's someone else on scene, someone else he's looking at, someone else on the." You know what I'm saying? And then over time, that whisper, it's like Jack and the Beanstalk. You're gonna have to climb that bad boy and smack up the giant at the top of it because you allowed it to grow all that way to the point where now in your mind, you're going, "Oh, brother's out with another girl." See? So I'm very like, but I guess I used that Farrakhan example because You know, I want to relate to you guys, bro. Like, I know there's some of you that don't, are not fully with the minister, but to me, I don't know why, but I'm trying to relate to you because I guess it's not all the time. But listen, it's not a weekly thing, a daily thing. I'm talking like once a year. I'm talking like something will come up in my intelligence and I'll laugh my barnet off at it, thinking, "Who the hell do you think you're whispering to?" But anyway, I don't want to go too much into that because it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll have a whisper and you gotta go kill it. You know what I'm saying? Just kill that snake that's whispering in your own intelligence, and you'll be sweet and you'll get your blessings. And be patient. Be patient. Okay. The sun is like the truth. The light is like the truth to me, and darkness or lies is just the absence of that light. Feed on that. I'm gonna just go quickly now. Sorry, I've eaten and remembered, so some things are doing stuff, and I keep having gas come up. You didn't need to know that. Okay. As the universe is set up rotationally, you have planets going around other planets. But what if I was to ask you to picture a universe inside your head? And then, if you can accept that picture for a moment, then I ask, which planet are you? A picture speaks 1,000 words. Okay. You ought to be grateful for people who have really done their homework and have really tapped into this understanding life frequency. Because I'll be real, if it wasn't for people like this, and we are all over the world now, slowly raising the levels of understanding, beaming light into the dark corners of the room of life. Having said this, yes, there are many things we cannot bear. There's a top step and there's a bottom step, but both are still steps. So be careful with information that you cannot digest or information that you're not ready for. But sometimes you don't know when you're not ready for it. So that can also be quite but that's a risk. Sometimes you've got to experiment with yourself, and sometimes there's a risk in anything that's great, you know. Anything of value is in the hardest places. Anything of value is in the deepest places. You know, the pearls are at the bottom of the ocean. The diamonds are embedded into the dirt. And God is he's on the wheel. Oh, praise be to Allah. I'm trying to give it more meanings, but I'm gosh, it's really something. My mind sometimes. Oh, praise be to Allah. Okay. We double look. Sorry. We double hard. Wait. Sorry. Let me start again. We look double hard at the man we know has the truth. We look at him for a bit longer than we do those that don't care to know of the truth or God. Because in this world, it's natural for men to disregard truths that transform us. I feel like I can add a full volume to that. But that's what's amazing about it, is that I've got it down in its first form. But when I type this up and I actually do, or finally get it into book form, there'll be probably volumes, like more volumes. Like I'm actually saying the volumes. This is what I'm kind of like doing this for, because I knew that this. I have faith. I knew this would happen. I knew that the God would speak through me, as I read it. So, yeah, it'll. I mean, Allah knows best. Allah knows best what the purpose of it all is, and He is the best knower. You know, my house is number 29, 1, and the verse 29:1 is the spider. It says, you ready for this? 29:1. 29:1. I, Allah, am the best knower. So it's like Allah is ultimately aware of what this is happening for. I might not be aware of it. Do you know what I'm saying? I might not be aware of even what's going on here. Probably don't. I don't. But I just know that I need to get this off my chest. I need to give a message. I need to give this message out the best I can, and I'm giving it my all, guys. You can bet that. Okay. Um. See, the scripture says you make yourself a prey when you choose righteousness. Yeah, we discussed that before as well. You make yourself a prey in the world. They prey on you when when you're strong, man. They don't, as we said yesterday about Cristiano Ronaldo, how we were saying, like, in his prime, it's as though like nobody would, and nobody could point a finger at him because he was just in his prime. You can't. What can you do? He's scoring 70 goals a season sometimes. Like, you ain't doing. You can't tell a man like that he isn't on flare. He's on fire. He ain't on fire. But now that he's obviously like withering a little bit, and his age is catching up, and the game's getting harder to be, competing at that level in doing that kind of extensive, coming up with that kind of extensive results. You see him withering, but now you see people pointing the finger. You see people pointing, see, told you you're not the GOAT, told you you're not the greatest. It's weak of them, I know. But that's just sometimes what it is. You make yourself a prey when you choose righteousness. So to some people, it's really something. This, you ready for this? To some people, righteousness is like weakness. I remember my brother saying to me one time. He said, like, he got in a little mood, and in his little strutty mood, he said, "Oh, you've got too much integrity." That's what he said. He said, "You just got too much integrity." I looked over at him like I was looking at Satan. Swear down. Because, like, he may not have realised, like, what he'd said and that, but maybe he did, but I don't know. But either way, sometimes we do make ourselves a prey when we choose to do the right thing, when we choose to say the right thing, when we choose to build the right thing, when we choose to sacrifice the right thing, or the wrong thing. Oh, no, yeah. You can't ever sacrifice the wrong thing. No, you can, actually. No, you can. Of course you can. We all make mistakes, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Praise be to Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Alright, we're nearly there, guys. We're so nearly there. The wicked ones have a way of speaking on what they had a part in. Did you hear me, brothers and sisters? So, to give you an example, 9/11, for instance, every single year there is a documentary that resurfaces online and on TV about the tragedy of the 9/11 event, yet behind it, all those that were promoting these programs are linked to those that caused the event to happen. And if you were to trace back the reasons as to why these programs come on television, you would, and I'm not putting anything else there, but so, and if you were to trace back the reasons as to why these programs come on television, it's to dumb down the American public and the entire world to the root of that tragedy. Okay. That was me just freestyling it there because it just needed finishing. I thought I could finish it, and I did. Okay. 9/11 is America's first taste of her own medicine. Of course, we know it's a setup, but for the people who misjudge the righteousness of its nation, it is a slap on the wrist or a warning, or better, a reminder. Let me read that again. I don't want it to come across wrong. That it kind of felt like it did, but it might not have. But right. So it's like, because it's a setup by their own people. It's really Israel. Because it's a setup by them. Those who like settled on accepting to go to Iraq and murder 2 million Iraqis. That's a real That's a real taste of your own medicine in a way. In other words, you were lied to because they told you weapons of mass destruction were in Iraq, and they weren't. And now, obviously, the 9/11 case. Do you know what? It's really interesting that 9/11 has never been like brought back up with the evidence. I mean, it has in certain like programs and documentaries and whatnot, but it's almost like it never. It's like, for instance, now Michael Jackson has been like certified as he was a man, a truthful man, a good man, and a great man, and a heroic man because of all this Epstein stuff. And it's like he's been vindicated, but like maybe that's why. So I kind of just reached it in my mind. Then the reason why 9/11 has probably not been like reached that stage where it's been vindicated as being an inside job is because Israel are at the source of it, and Israel is still committing crimes against humanity as we speak. So that's probably why we've not got the coverage on that yet. But we do have the dancing Israelis, which again, if you're awake in this time, it doesn't take a genius to work out, make the connection. So anyway, okay, the God in you is as great as your submission and discipline towards it. Praise be to Allah. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Speaking on Israel, you never fulfilled this prophecy. So even though you may say, Israel, that you are the people of God, you can't put the Holocaust on yourself as the thing that was prophesied to occur as the 400-year mistreatment, because that was only, well, it wasn't 400 years, was it? So, and it's just, yeah, Israel is just a joke. So, and I'm talking about the not the children of Israel. They are the opposite. They're beautiful, but I'm on about Netanyahu and the boys. Them lot are really, what they're doing to Gaza is unacceptable, and may Allah lessen the effect of that war against him. Even though it's most likely part of his plan and part of his will to bring out his ultimate will. I believe I've said in another podcast, I believe it was Message to the Islamic World, letter 1. There's a letter 2 to come on that, but I said that since the war in Gaza, there's been a 400% increase in conversion rate to Islam, which is probably even higher now. So, to put it into perspective, we've lost like less lives than Muslims have been converting to Islam in other countries and around the world. So let's say for every 100 Muslims that we've lost, we've gained 300 more Muslims around the world that are submitting to Allah. Praise be to Allah. See what I'm saying? So sometimes his will is like that, and we have to accept that in whatever way, and we just have to be grateful and thankful that we're a part of his will. That's all it is. Okay. The Lord is a man. So we're going from that verse with the Abraham, no of a surety, that one that we just read. Sorry for that noise. The Lord is a man. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Pardon me. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. I've not gone into any context, but look at the information after I said the Lord is a man. I'll say it again. The Lord is a man. In fact, I'm going to go one further. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is a man. The Lord is a warrior. So that is to bring it right back to earth, right down to the modern times, right down to the modern times. So anybody who's looking for other than a man, which is the Lord, essentially, still needs to be taught, still needs to come to the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan and get his daily dose of absolute amazingness. Truth. Okay. We're almost there, guys. We've literally got a couple sentences left and we're done. Okay. Hard trials are necessary to establish the truth in you. Okay. What most of you are missing is that Farrakhan's life cannot be put into a box. You cannot have a level of consideration where you really think the whole 90 years of awakening human beings, quickening them to life, was for nothing and was some ordinary thing. It was not an ordinary thing. And then the last thing that I've got here that we're going to read today is this. I wish I was alive when he was teaching more frequently. Wait. Yeah. I wish I was alive when he was... So in other words, I wish I was there when he was teaching, like, more, like, in that element, I'll put the, like, from the, the first final call building that he started in, those lectures. I wish I was alive when he was teaching there. Like, I wish I was there, because, like, it just would have been such a joy, and it just would have been so amazing to behold the minister in all not all his glory, because I mean, I guess that's to come. But what I mean is just, he's just a wonderful man, and I often think, like, I wish I was there, like, with him as a helper, and to aid him, in this spiritual realm, because the minister, he said when he used to listen to the Honourable Elijah Muhammad, he used to just see things through a spiritual lens, like, naturally. And I'm like that with the minister, like, or like I'm with the minister on a lot of spiritual matters. Like, I just understand where he's at and where he's coming from. Sometimes I'll finish his sentence because I'm right there with him, and he's just a wonderful man. But that's the guys, that's the end of the video today. So I'm very grateful that Allah just allowed me to be here, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Be, and it is. Kun fayakun. Very grateful to my Allah, who always gives me the spirit to explain and to elevate, not just you but me. I'm listening as well. I am somewhat overwhelmed too, most times. But I hope, with all my soul, that I've been able to raise you, even if it's just a couple of degrees beyond where, you was when I found you, or before you listened to this lecture. And I'll just leave it there, and all praises be to Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, guided the most Honourable Elijah Muhammad, and guided the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What wonderful men we have in our midst. And Assalamu alaikum to all those that are tuning in, and make sure you tune in tomorrow. There'll be a new episode. It won't be as long as this because I've tried to make up for 2 episodes yesterday and today in one. So yeah, it'll be a bit longer than usual. So, but thank you so much for listening, and gird up your loins and prepare your spirit for the great fast of Ramadan, which is just around the corner. And happy Saviour's Day. Happy Saviour's Day. I can't wait to listen to all the messages that will come on Saviour's Day, inshallah, if it be Allah's will. And stay tuned in on Sundays for, the messages that come from Mos Mariam every week without fail. Maybe I'm not sure there is one this week. Maybe there is. I've not looked, but I'm sure there will be. They are very consistent, and I love it. So, and also as another thing is tune into Brother Abdul Hakim on a Sunday as well. He always has some really beautiful messages to give. So yes, but assalamu alaikum and have a lovely evening.